Hey everybody, I wanted to show off my little MEUSOC clone that I got here. This is a Springfield operator, a lightweight operator that I found in my pawn shop for $800. And I ended up trading a bunch of guns for it, and I was originally just going to take the cash out, but when I saw this, I saw an operator in the little display. I wanted to take a look at it. The thing had never been fired, and it came with everything. Like, it's like somebody bought it back in 2014 and then just sold it like last year. Thing was in perfect condition. So I had to go for it. But I didn't know it was a lightweight operator, and that means that it has a forged aluminum frame, which is good, but the aluminum frames do have a stigma for actually cracking after a high amount of rounds. And this being a LARPing gun, where I'm just going to go ahead and play Tactical Ricky in the woods, I'm going to be treating this thing like crap. And so I need it to actually be able to last. I don't want to lose my LARPing gun right away. So anyways, I did a few changes to this, and this is where I'm going to talk about the build. You know, this usually comes with wood grips. Well, I got $30 Packmar grips from Midwest Gun Industries, and they have them, you know, it's like Springfield Armory sells these so they can put them on their Marine Corps clone pistols that they were offering for replacing the MEUSOC, the one that Colt actually won, even though they failed all the tests, you know, whatever. But obviously added the Olight PL Pro. I ended up getting a Safariland holster that's a level 2, a little thumb brake holster. It doesn't have the bail, so it's not a level 3 or a level 2 with just the hood. So it's just a little thumb brake, but it cost a pretty penny, and it's an absolutely new light-bearing holster for this specific pistol with this specific Olight PL Pro. So, with that said, this thing had the full-length guide rod. I hated it because you had to unscrew the guide rod with a specific Allen key, and then you had to take it off and then disassemble it like normal. It was just ridiculous. So I got it in the GI guide rod for it, and then I changed to a flat wire recoil spring so I could start using these shock buffs. Because again, the stigma of aluminum frames. This is from 2014. This is a 2014 model, by the way. When I called Springfield, they did a serial number lookup. And I want to use the shock buffs because it'll take away some of the pressure off the frame. And it doesn't really change the recoil impulse on this pistol all that much. It does change the recoil impulse on other 1911s that I have that are steel frame, but this aluminum frame seems to actually take it and actually benefit from it. Alright, so that's one thing that I did notice. So I got rid of the full-length guide rod. I've got a flat wire recoil spring in here. It's an 18 or 19 pound spring, and I am using the shock buffs. So also I got a 23 pound GI guide rod, or a mainspring rather, in here, and I had to get the mainspring cup pin because they didn't have a pin in there. So as soon as you disassembled it, the cup and the mainspring would just try to shoot out of here. I mean, really? But that's the thing that old Springfields did. They'd never had a pin in the mainspring to hold the cup in place. So, you know, it is what it is. Also, with this specific firearm, this left night sight was actually came out on my first range session with this gun. I fired 300 rounds through it, and the night sight popped out. I found the vial on the ground, or rather my friend found the vial, and I popped it back in there. And then I took clear nail polish, and I just went ahead and put it over all of these to make sure that won't happen, you know, in the near future. And if it does happen, I'm just going to get new sights for it and just a blacked out rear and a blacked out front, and I'll just paint the front, you know, like orange or something, something high vis, right? So anyways, I didn't really have to do all that much to this pistol. I mean, I upgraded the firing pin to a, you know, titanium firing pin with an extra power firing pin spring to prevent any drop safety issues or whatever, just to give this, you know, more power and resistance so I'm not damaging the firing pin when I do dry fire this. But I typically always try to have, you know, a snap cap. Oops, strobing you guys. But this is an old school way of checking, pushing on the trigger guard in here. That's an old school way of, you know, press checking. But I do have a snap cap in here. I always try to have a snap cap with rubber bumpers so that I can, you know, practice all the time without damaging the firing pin. But anyways, that's my MEUSOC clone for $800, and then, you know, like, I think it was like a total of like $45 for the grip, the extra springs and stuff, and you know, to get everything in line, I already had this, but for a total of like $850, I was able to get a MEUSOC clone just by, you know, whatever I found in the pawn shop. So it's pretty cool. I think it looks pretty damn good. But let me know what you think about it in the comments below. You guys have a good one.